Evening. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to offer up a prayer? All right, let's stand for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the Monday, August 19th, 2019 school board meeting. We have a 1.2 recognition of students for FSA scores. Ms. Joseph.
The board, thank you for allowing me to do this. At this time, in the spring of every year, we take the FSA test, and we were fortunate enough to have several students within our school system score a perfect score. And for anyone within the state who receives a perfect score, you get a certificate from the governor. And I'm going to read one, and we're going to call you up individually so you'll have your time to shine. It says, Dear student, I am writing to congratulate you on your exemplary performance on the spring FSA assessment. You achieved a perfect score. I'm proud of your accomplishments, and I commend you on your hard work in school to achieve this level of success. I would like to encourage you to continue to strive for academic excellence and inspire those around you to do the same. Your exceptional achievement is an example to others of the success that can be attained through working hard and caring about your education. Again, congratulations on your remarkable achievement. I wish you success in your future pursuits. Sincerely, Ron DeSantis, Governor. It says 2019 Certificate of Achievement. This one is awarded to Mr. Jalen Cooks. Come forward. He achieved a perfect score on the FSA 7th grade math assessment. Our next student is Mr. Daniel Permain. He achieved a perfect score on the grade 8 statewide science assessment. Our next student is a fourth grader. She achieved a perfect score on the grade 4 math assessment. Ms. Ariana Mazzella.
There we go.
Okay.
3, 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
I'm getting smart now. Our next student is Mr. Devin Herron. He achieved a perfect score on grade 3 math assessment. Mr. Herron, but this is not Mr. Herron, but his representative for him. He wants to do your picture also. This is Devin Herron. Our next student is Ms. Addison French, a perfect score on the grade 5 science assessment. Ms. French. Even our high schools got an act. For U.S. History end of course assessment, Ms. Kayla Reeves.
Always get two.
And our last student, Mr. Addison Jones, 5th grade math assessment.
Okay, can I get all of the students that received certificates up here for a group picture, please? Squeeze in. Three, one, two, three. One, two, three.
The students come from the following school: Mr. Jalen Cooks from Madison County Central, Daniel Permain comes from Madison County Central, Ariana Marzella comes from Lee Elementary, Devin Herring comes from Pinetta Elementary, Addison French from Pinetta Elementary, Kayla Reeves, James Madison Preparatory Charter High School, and Addison Jones, Madison Creative Arts Academy. Congratulations to all of these students.
I'd like to congratulate all those students on behalf of the school board. We're very proud of you. I know your parents are proud of you, grandparents and teachers, and congratulations and have a great year. We don't have any comments from the public? Okay. All right, let's look down at our consent agenda items. I'm going to do some things a little bit different. I'm going to read out each item, starting with tonight's meeting. 4 point. Okay, we'll wait till they leave. Okay, 4.1, the minutes. 4.2, agreement with Leon County for inter-district transportation. 4.3, dual enrollment articulation agreement with NFC. 4.4, memorandum of agreement with CareerSource. 4.5, articulation agreement with Big Bend Technical College. 4.6, Madison County High School School Improvement Plan. 4.7, staff trips, grant and categorically funded. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
I make the motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any question or discussion? Any of the items? All right, by a show of hands, all approve, all in favor? Oppose? Becky, 5-0. 5, items for individual consideration. 5.1, student field trips out of county, Ms. Joseph.
The student field trips are posted. We have one to Camp Kulula in Lake City with the FFA that's being paid for by the FFA chapter. At the high school, we have a trip again on September 19th to Camp Kalula. That's again being paid for by the FFA chapter. On August 30th and 31st, the FFA chapter is also going to Daytona Beach. That's being paid for by their chapter. The FFA chapter is going to Florida Gateway College on October 10th. That's being paid for by the FFA chapter. On October 29th through November 2nd, the FFA chapter is going to Indianapolis, Indiana for their national convention. Again, that's being paid for by the FFA chapter. And the FFA chapter is going to Live Oak on December 12th. That's being paid for by their chapter. Those are the student field trips that have been turned in for this meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph. Do we have a motion to approve the student field trips?
I make the motion to approve the student trips.
We have a motion by Mr. Alfred, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Daniels. Questions or discussion? By a show of hands, all in favor? Opposed? Becky, 5-0. 5.2, Madison County High School parking for football games. Ms. Joseph?
Okay, at the meeting last year, you approved the Madison County High School Booster Club to charge for parking at football games. And it was also during that meeting that they would come back and bring the report back to the church, to the school board, if they decide to go again. At your table, you've got a summary of the expenses and the income for this past year. And Mr. Burt, the booster president, would like to do a presentation. And you can ask him about any of these expenses.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph.
Good evening. Like she said last year, we came to y'all and asked for permission to do the parking. It was a pretty good fundraiser, or what you ever want to call it, for us. It did good. We had I don't know how many complaints y'all had. I had 2 people complain. One guy came to me about it. I sat down and spoke with him for a few minutes, and we were done. He said, "You need another $5?" I said, "Yes, sir, if you want to." The other one was just an unhappy person. You couldn't make him happy. So I didn't, I talked to them for a few minutes, and they went about their business, and so did another gentleman. I had one superintendent come from Wakulla County. Thought it was one of the coolest things they ever could come up with, to make easy money to help their facilities, help whatever they can do in sports, because they're just like us. A bunch of people come to watch them, and they've never thought about doing it that way. They've always worried about their booster members or whatever, giving them a parking spot and doing that. So in saying that, we did pretty good. We did kind of like what we thought. We need a little bit more to do what we want to do with the building. We still want to focus on the weight room and doing it, but there are some other focuses right now. We have a situation in the field house that the AC has been broke for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now. It was 88 degrees when the kids came in from practice the other day in the field house. I got a problem with that. You got kids falling out every day. You got coaches that are out in that heat. They need to be able to come back in. And I know somebody's gonna tell me to wait in line. We got rooms that need air conditioning in the classroom. I understand that. I worked here 5 years ago. That unit was a piece of junk then. It's a piece of junk now. The building gets used a lot. We don't want to spend our money on that. We want to do what we were told y'all we would do. We want to focus on the weight room. We want to get that facility better, because at the time the board was going to take over and take care of that building. I understand you're out of money. You did a few things down there, but we really need to get that focus. We need to get that air conditioning fixed before we're in the news about a kid falling out in Madison County. Coach is doing the best he can to keep the kids cool during the day, but he said, I can't run them inside and cool them off to take a 10-minute break like he used to. Me and my wife went and bought 500 popsicles to give to the players to something to cool them down. We went down to Fred's the other day and bought 500 popsicles to take out to them kids to keep them cool, so he can take them and give them a 10-minute break and give them something cold beside the water that's got sugar in. That's what he used to do at practice. He took them inside the building, cooled down, and they went back out. They did a little like halftime, you could call it, and they go back out. So I would ask the board if we're gonna do what we're supposed to do and you grant us another year of doing this and we're focused on the weight room, we have some things in motion right now with the weight room. I have some stuff being donated from a gym in Jacksonville that has, the only tie here is me and my family. He owns a big gym in Jacksonville. He's willing to donate the flooring, so I don't have to spend money on flooring. He has no advertisement over here. It doesn't do him any good to advertise over here. So I'm doing my part. We need some more money to finish what we need to do. We were, if you can see, I think we were started at 14, or ended the season a little under 14,000 or whatever it was.
You had a total of income of $15,012.05, and when this report was printed, you had a balance in your account of $11,512.05.
And there's another bill that possibly could be coming, but I'm gonna ask for the board to look at. Somehow, if Ms. Shirley and Mr. Tim can look at doing it. We needed a paint sprayer. Coach has purchased it. The backup plan is to pay for it with parking money. I really don't wanna do that. That's used for the middle school. It's used for flag football. I know football uses the majority of it, but I just think it's something that facilities ought to help us with, paying for a paint sprayer since the other schools use it. Softball and baseball use it sometimes when a real wet season, when their chalk don't want to stay, they'll go ahead and spray the grass and whatnot with it. So that bill hasn't come in yet, so that'll knock me down even more, to around 8,000 in there. And I haven't even done anything, but my biggest expense so far, or our biggest expense so far out of that was J&J Strong donated a golf cart. Coach wanted to put it in a building to pick the pads up to help with that stuff, so I told him, I said, we can't pay for the whole building, but I'll split it with you. So he took money out of his general school football fund and paid half the bill, and I paid the other half. Actually, we came out cheaper. I think he paid a little bit more than we did just because of the way the checking went, how they wrote the checks or whatever. So I'm saying I think it's a good thing. We need more money to do what we need to do. Air conditioning's going to be a little costly if we put the air conditioner in the weight room and don't have to help with the
Ms. Joseph,
field house.
I know capital outlay funds can be used to buy those air conditioners on top of the school building. Can they be used to buy an air conditioning unit for the weight room?
A field house.
Field house. Do you know, Mr. Sam?
I don't know, I have to look at it, but I think right now, are we talking about whether you want to allow them to continue charging the parking fees? That's the conversation before the board right now.
Okay.
Whether to decide whether we're going
I
to.
like her mindset though.
I like her mindset, but we have to deal with the issue at hand,
Yeah.
which is whether we continue
Right.
charging. And so that's why he's before the board right now. So we need to deal with that before we go
Okay.
further.
Sure.
But in saying that,
Okay.
I want our money to go towards rate because that's what we promised y'all we would do. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the direction. There's some Boost Club members here. We've talked about it. We were on both sides of the fence, and some of the gentlemen I think a lot of said we need to stick with what we told y'all we were going to do from last year, and that's the direction we need to go. Not unless we need to do emergency something else and go in a different route. So I'm asking that y'all will allow the Madison Booster Club to be able to collect $5 per game. We have 5 home games this year, not counting the playoff games. And then we'll do the discounted thing. Last year we had 6. The discounted thing last year was $25. This year it'll be $20 if somebody wants to come up by a pass out front. So you really get one game. I guess you say one game free. The sheriff's department's still willing to help us. Basketball, if you'll see in the report, all the basketball had to do was work the gate, and they received $1,800 from us because we paid them. We helped them, or they helped us. We paid them for doing their help with Coach Demps and his wife and volunteers and Amanda Gideon. I don't know who all did it, but from what I found out, they all did an excellent job because I was cooking gizzards and everything else, so I didn't have time to do the parking on it. David Harper and the sheriff's department said they'd be right with us again, ready to go. They just need the pool. We just need to tell them to roll with it.
What did you do with the money this past year?
What do we do with it? Paid basketball. Bought 2 parking signs. and paid for a half of a building
Now, are all the monies being run through the internal account at the high school?
through our Booster Club account, yes ma'am, and it's allocated for,
Okay.
for parking.
Through the internal account at the
Correct.
high school?
Yeah, we don't have external account, everything's done through them
Through
for
the,
auditing
yeah,
purposes.
because I know in the past, before I was on the board, this was decided by the board, and I want to
Right,
make
there
sure
was
that
some
we're still on the
situations
same
that
track.
happened. Coach Co wanted to cover him, and he wanted a little more eyes on it and all that stuff. So yes, everything's
So,
run through.
and how much money do you have in the booster club?
The other day it was in the Booster Club, our tournament.
She said Booster Club, not parking though.
Yeah,
No, no, not this.
I couldn't tell you right off, but I can tell you the football Booster Club had hardly nothing in it. Because we paid all the bills, we paid for all the equipment and bills that were in, so we were down to like a few $100s. Now the other sports had their little odd bit that we had in, but I can't tell you what each sport had it. But football was down to, the general football fund was down to, general Booster Club fund was down to like $800.
So the booster club involves all the sports, right? Do all the sports?
Not all of them. Softball and baseball does their own thing. We give allowance, not allowance, but a percentage to like track, to non-ticketed sports that doesn't get anything. Like, you know, of course we can't have a track meet here because the track's condemned or whatever, but you have track, flag football, we give cheerleading a little bit. There's another one, tennis and golf. I think we all give them a percentage. And they even get a percentage of the scoreboard sign that we sell. If we sell that sign, they get, one gets 10%, one gets 15%, depending on how big a group their kids are running and how big their whole team is, I guess you can say. But softball and baseball, they're standalone. Volleyball and basketball are standalone. So
Okay.
the last we held, I think, was volleyball was 3 years ago, and they wanted us to front them money for a net, and we ended up buying the net because that was y'all's thing. Golf, we bought uniforms.
Yes.
3 years ago, I guess, maybe 4 years ago now, bought him all new uniforms. These were old polo shirts. I mean, they were polo shirts, but.
Well, we appreciate, I know you're a volunteer, and you are definitely appreciated for what you do.
Appreciate it.
And I'm just trying to get information. That's why I asked the questions.
Yeah.
I had been approached by someone about the tennis courts, and I went out there, and they are, I can't even describe it. I cannot describe it. So you say that money's being funneled into the tennis,
They have
program?
money in their Booster Club account.
Okay.
It ain't enough to buy a bush off the tractor to mow the court with. But
That's what they need. That's what they need. That's what's needed. Right.
I went by the other day too with Carol, and I saw exactly what you saw.
I took pictures and I was appalled by that. And that's a sport that will last a lifetime.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like tennis, track, those are things you can do when you're 80 years old, you know.
And usually Tim Meinson uses them for his PE class because he does each sport. I've got 2 kids that go through his classes, and he does a volleyball month or whatever, and then a tennis month. So they use them in the school too, besides just tennis season. You know, so he takes them out there because some of the kids don't like his class because he makes them actually learn a sport.
I don't know how they can play when the grass is 2 feet tall on the court.
I don't know either.
I've never seen anything like it. So that, and I know it'd be a lot of money to replace it, but that's another,
issue.
Yeah, there's another issue.
I'm
Okay.
just asking for y'all to approve us
Right.
to do this so we can keep moving forward with our weight room. And while I was here, I did want to bend you here. I bent Miss Stroh's here the other day about the weight room air condition. It's just, and I know last year y'all were working to try to go in that direction. We had the money issue, but we just need to focus back on it. It's a building that gets used a lot. I know people say it's just a field house, but them doors that y'all added a year ago, you know, I came here about, you know, added the doors. Knock on wood, whatever you want to say. Coach Cook told me today he hadn't had a thing go missing this year through the summer, through the thing because the doors get locked up when he leaves and pulls off from there, and it's not swinging gates because the doors wouldn't lock before. So he really appreciates the doors. We're actually, speaking of that, we're actually looking at maybe trying to wrap them in the coming year with some kind of logo so they'll keep the paint on them, they'll look a little better, you know, with a logo type thing on them. So we do appreciate that.
are there any questions for Mr. Burt?
I mean, I personally don't have an issue with us charging again. I just ask that that there be some type of explicit plan of how the money's to be spent.
As of right now, I'm waiting on the painter, Jerry Morgan, to get me a price. He's working on a price. I have the price on the air conditioning units. The sheriff's department is actually donating the outside condenser units. He had some left over from a raid that they did. The inside units have already been used, so he's gonna donate me 2 outside units. So outside needs, we've got to buy the 2 indoor, and then when Jerry gives me a price on painting, I'll have, so know where we're at for the, painting, and then like the flooring, if it goes as planned right now, all I have to do is take a trailer and a truck to go pick the flooring up, to do it. So that's our focus, is the weight room. That's the direction we're headed, not unless y'all can't fix, you know, something doesn't come up. I know they're supposed to have a guy there today working on the unit. I heard it rained here all day, so not sure he worked on the unit at the field house, but we gotta get them there and take care of them on emergency plan.
Thank you.
I think Mr. Redmond.
I think Mr. Daniels.
Oh, I just wanted to ask if y'all had a timeline on the campaign, overall campaign.
We were hoping to get started, I was hoping to get started during the summer.
No, I mean, as far as, you know, this, another year, this year, you look, how far down the line you're looking as far as the ticket?
As far as charging for parking,
You're right.
I hope we can finish the weight room and then take something else on. I mean, whatever's next. We've talked about trying to add on to the concession stand and make it a little bit bigger, if that's something we have to do. You know, that'll be our next focus, and that's when I'm coming, hopefully 2020 and say, or maybe not me, maybe somebody else takes Boost Club president in 2020, comes to you and says, hey, we wanna focus on, new press box, we wanna focus on, you know, another building there. The bathrooms need to be done, that's another story, but I don't think we have the money and capability to cover that, because then you get the handicap and things like that, we'd have to go into if you start remodeling that kind of stuff.
This was years ago, back 2 administrations ago. Ms. Williamson may remember, we had an architect come and give us a rendering, and it was gonna be like $100,000 for the bathroom, so, and.
They just need some attention.
Yeah.
I'm not here to talk about that.
Right, I mean,
but
again, it's, I mean, I think at one time a list had been made, even with the field house and weight room and the concession stand. Actually, when the high school has been renovated,
yeah,
it was in that initial plans, and then we ran out of money.
We're hoping to use some of that oil money or something
Well,
at one time.
well, no, for the
Track and
renovations.
area around it, yeah.
I mean, for the high school renovations, and it just didn't go through, but I wanna say it was close to $100,000 for the concession and bathrooms.
And your visitor side, you know, it gets used when softball and baseball comes around, and I mean, last year's crowds at them 2 games were unbelievable. I don't know what this year will be like, but the visitor side bathroom not only gets the visitor side bathrooms for the football games, plus gets those other 2 sports and tennis. I mean, I pulled my tennis this year, and there was quite a few playing tennis, and they're using those bathrooms too, you know, for other multiple sports. So it's, you know, I know that's coming, but you know, that might be something we have to look at to help y'all with, or we go in as partners with, or something, you know, on our next.
I just hope whatever
focus.
we do that we take care of it, because like Ms. Gibson said, this is not with you, but with the tennis courts, it's hard for the board to sit here and put money out when obviously it has not been taken care of.
Yeah.
And I don't know that the courts aren't ruined, because I don't know that you can get that grass up without busting
It busted seems like where it's
right,
coming out when that root
right.
gets-
So that's, as a board member sitting here, that's what I'm asking. Whatever is done at any schools, that we as a district try to take care of it and be proud of it, and not,
Yep.
I mean, again, it reflects on us as a community and the school board when visitors come and we have weeds knee-high in the tennis courts and fences are torn.
I wouldn't dare sit on the bleachers, to be perfectly honest with you. Have you noticed the bleachers there?
What-
I mean, they're not,
The tennis court?
yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'd be afraid to
I say
sit.
I must have missed something, there are bleachers.
No,
They're-
I mean,
they're aluminum.
I've got a problem with that. I feel like tennis, like I said, is going to be a lifelong sport, and football is not. I know football's good for the kids, but when high school's over with, it's over with. And that's the only, and I have nothing against football. I have done some homework on this, like I did last year, with the different surrounding counties, Columbia, Taylor, Hamilton, Lowndes, and Suwanee. And they do not charge to park at football games, other than Columbia, which charged $2, and the FFA actually benefited from that. And this year, something else, another organization over there will benefit from it. And I also would like the board to keep in mind that out of the 67 counties in Florida, we are number 67 as far as the poverty level, with 31.9% being in poverty. And we have very few opportunities in Madison for entertainment for these families and children. And this is, you pay to go in, and this is an added burden, really. And it doesn't, now to you or I, it doesn't, $5 would mean nothing. But as a teacher, being in the system for all the years, money means something to a lot of people, and they have to value every dollar. And that I'm torn between this. I know you're trying to do good. I don't want to take it away from you, and I admire and respect you for this. And I don't know how the board feels about it, but I just, there's something about it that just, and I'm looking at your facts and figures here. And anyway, does anyone else have any comments?
I think I kind of feel the same way, and that's one reason I was leaning or kind of asking how many more seasons are we willing to,
I say until the
propose
sport
it.
complex is up to date. Y'all determine that.
Well,
That would be hundreds of thousands of dollars. I was going to say, I don't see the end in sight for that. Yeah.
Well, I understand what Ms. Gibson's saying and Mr. Daniels. I mean, we are a poor district, and it is a child, for everyone here at the table here, we can afford, and $5 would not be an issue, but for a parent who has a carload of kids, it would. But on the other side, as a board here, if we cut this out, we're gonna have to come up with the money somewhere to help with this, because this $15,000 has helped or will help do renovations to some way, either capital outlay or some other way. It's gonna have to try to pick up. It can't
I
come
understand
from our
that.
general fund. So we're almost caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
I feel for the parents who are unable to pay it. I don't know what the answer is.
I don't know. This is a little on the side, but I spoke to different teachers this past week about, supplies. And I said, how much money do you get for, because when I was teaching, of course, you got 200, 250 or whatever, and you go out and you buy whatever you want to buy, and they get nothing, basically. And I said, well, what happens if you want a dry erase marker? And they said, we go pay for it. Now that's.
We should be getting lead teacher money, shouldn't we?
Yes, we're gonna get $200 per teacher.
Oh, they are going to get the
Yes, we
200?
are.
Okay, well, maybe they haven't gotten it yet then, okay. That makes me feel better. Okay.
Again, I don't know. I wish there was a magic wand we had with money, but.
Yeah, well, I feel good that it's going through the internal accounts at the high school. And we know exactly how much has been collected. And
One thing I feel good about, and this is what I've asked from the very beginning, to be honest, I had a real hard time even like going along with money being taken up like this, but with knowing that it's going solely toward the students, and that it's going back to the students, not to adults, not to things that's not student related. It's easier for me to accept this knowing that it's going toward the student. That would be the only way I would accept this, is that it goes directly to the students, where
Oh,
the students
definitely.
are benefiting. Not to adults, not to pay, not that coaches aren't great, but we're not gonna be, we're not gonna be paying, we're not gonna be buying people dinners, we're not gonna be paying supplements to people. This is going to the students, and the moment that stops is the moment it will not get my vote to continue this.
Well, the money's gonna stay at the school, even if all the coaches were to leave, none of the coaches are getting this, it's going to the school. The kids in the middle school's gonna get this. True and honest, the kids in the middle school are gonna reap the benefits of this right here. It's not gonna be the seniors this year. It wasn't the seniors last year. The state championship team is gonna you get the benefit. It's gonna be the kids at the middle school, because this is gonna be a working, I need more money, you know what I'm saying? So those kids are gonna be the ones seeing it, and those parents are gonna say, that's where that $5 went that I spent 3 years ago, you know what I'm saying? So.
I agree. I see Mr. Daniels, I think I know your point. Also, what your questions? I would be more in favor to do it on a yearly basis and get this report, just like you've given us,
And that's what y'all
as
have
to
been doing
what
last
what it was spent for last year. And if it comes to a point that it's not being spent like it
Right.
should be, then it just continues.
Right.
And
And
that
I
we
didn't
just,
want to buy that.
if we approve it, we just approve it 1 year at a time with accountability.
I really wasn't crazy about buying the building, but when J&J Strong donated the golf cart and there was nowhere to store it locked up under cover, and we didn't have the money to count, and Code couldn't mean, how can we do it? And this was the only way to do it, because I told y'all I was doing the weight room last year, you know what I'm saying? But we needed to get that thing locked up. We didn't need to get stolen. We had all the thefts and lawnmowers in the past and everything else out there, so, we got the building donated, and that was the only way, or not, we had to buy the only way we could get it and not be donated by Mr. Green from Live Oak, which he donated the cover under the cooking area. He donated that, and I went back to another building. He's like, man, I can't do it again. So, you know, he gave us a discounted rate, factory rate, and we bought it and split it. So,
In all reality, I mean, this is the reality of it. Unless capital outlay by some means will fund for improvements to the field house or weight room, I sitting here as a board member, I don't know where the money would come from to do it. And so if we do have this money, I mean, that is money that would go toward it. I mean, our fund balance is up, but if we think back in January the 4th, when we all got the news,
I remember.
it was a bad day for us, and that's, as a board member, our fund balance is up, and I feel good about it. But again, I don't know that we have a fund balance to go be doing renovations.
Let's say we are cautiously optimistic.
and all I want is, like we have, is a focus from y'all to say, hey, we're working in that direction, because the last superintendent and Ms. Rutherford were working on it. I know that's kind of got scratched when, you know, she resigned or whatever. So they were working in a path to do things. I understand you can't come up with it this year, whatever, but as long as you're budgeting for it, Mr. Ginn or whoever has to do the building budget or whatever, if he can start doing things and start moving in the right direction, because, you know, one day them bathrooms are going to get us in trouble. And I know we're getting off of what I'm talking about, but
I
my son's 10th grade year, bowls came over, and a lady come in a wheelchair with no legs, and I was saying that in the fryer, and I told the guy I was with, and I said, oh Lord, here we go. We didn't have the concrete then, going to the bathrooms, and people with bowls usually have money. And her husband took her in that bathroom, I thought, good Lord, she's gonna say something when she comes out, and she didn't. But we just need to be cautious and know that those things have been wore out.
and I think,
and that's what we need to go help y'all with that on our next money. That's what we do. But
right.
as long as it's in y'all's focus and y'all know about it, I'm gonna keep it on your ears and, you know, whatnot. So
I think
I'm just asking to do this so we can focus on what we can, and hopefully the weight room or the field house air conditioner will be fixed this week, and coach can to get them kids cooled down. And plus, we just put a new ceiling in it. I mean, the ceiling was nasty because of the humidity and moisture in there, and now we don't have air in there. What good is it?
I think we discussed last year also the taking care of things.
But
We know that the doors have been kicked off the hinges and the sink's been pulled off the wall or the bathrooms, or there was all kinds of, I haven't been back there to take a look, but that's part of getting an education, taking care of things. And in the past, something's happened that it wasn't. So that's got to be drilled into them. You know, you need to take care of what you got, and it costs money, all this. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Byrd. We appreciate it.
you
You need a motion. and a
Oh, yeah,
second.
yeah, we're not there yet. Okay.
y'all did get a letter, right?
Yes, we did.
Thank y'all.
Yes, thank you. All right, is there a motion to approve?
Madam Chair, I would like to make the motion to approve the Madison County High School parking for the football games.
We have a motion by Ms. Bell, second. Second by Mr. Alfred. Questions and discussion?
In your motion, is this for this upcoming year? Just
It's for the upcoming year.
As far as questions and discussion, I was thinking, and I think Mr. Byrd said that 1,800 was given to the basketball team.
It was earned by the basketball team.
Earned, they
worked
collected the money,
for that.
They
right.
worked for it.
They worked for it, that's right, they worked for it. And,
So it is helping out that program too. I mean, it's helping out, and that is a program, although they have a gate, I don't know that their gate carries their program, if that makes sense. I mean, I think the gate probably helps their program, but I don't know on smaller games,
Right.
is it?
Well, I was thinking, you know, it's nice that the basketball team earned it and was able to get the 1,800. But then again, would it be nice if we rotated that? Rather than the basketball team making the money, we could say, how about the something else making the money that needs it, that doesn't generate funds? How does the board feel about that?
I think it should be like a school-based decision and let the school decide.
Let the school decide.
I mean, again, to be honest with you, I in many instances feel this should have been a school-based decision a year ago where the school and the superintendent decided this and not the board. Never of my 17 years on the board have we ever decided the prices of anything. Cotton candy, hot dogs, parking, this is the first.
This is the first, okay.
And I don't know if the attorney, I mean, wouldn't you say this is more of a school-based decision and?
I think that you all would need to decide that. If you want to make it a school-based decision, you can. This is different though. I mean, we'd never done a parking charge before, and that's why I think it was properly brought before the school
I think
board.
it's great that we're finding out what it's being used for.
Yeah.
And we are doing this, but with, like Ms. Gibson was saying, concerning different people do it, I think that should be like a school base and they.
Let them decide.
Let Ms. Wildgoose decide how she wants to.
I agree, that's fine.
Y'all can certainly do that. You can send it back to you. You can decide to allow the superintendent and principal to make that decision.
Where in many instances in the past, where it may have come down to is whoever's working it is a group who would work it. There's many.
Who would work it,
There's
right.
many organizations out there, but when it comes down to parents being committed every Friday night in the rain, cold, heat to stand out there, you don't have people knocking down the door to go out there.
You're right. I imagine that would be right.
I don't think we have, I mean, I know the board's never set those prices before. I think the actual, the ticket price though, I believe is set by the FHSAA. Now, I could be wrong on that, but I think they set that, so there's not really a decision for this board to make on that. So I think the parking, I think is, that's totally up to y'all.
I've got mixed emotions about this whole thing. I've thought about it. I want the students to benefit, and it looks like the students will be benefiting. I go back to our county and the high poverty rate that we have, and I look at the other counties and they're not doing it, but maybe they think they should or whatever. And I'm just, anyway, any more discussion or questions?
Amen.
Okay, by a show of hands, all in favor? Oppose? 4-1. All right. 5.3, contract with right of passage for DJJ facility. Ms. Joseph?
Madam Chair, we're bringing this contract back to you this week. We started with the last week and we had some concern about the portion of the delinquent funds that we were offering Joanne Bridges the rights of passage in that contract. It was at 50% when we bought it last week. This time they have half the students, they're serving half the students that they served last year. And so we in the contract, we are offering them 25% of the Title I Part D neglected and delinquent funds.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the contract with right of passage for DJJ facility?
I make the motion to approve the contract with the right of passage.
We have a motion by Mr. Alfred, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Williamson. Any discussion or questions? By a show of hands, all in favor? Oppose? Becky, 5-0. 5.4, staffing table. Ms. Joseph?
We have no changes to the staffing table at this meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph. 5.5, personnel changes.
Personnel changes, Mr. Stolnecker, would you review that for me, please, sir?
Madam Chairman, Madam Superintendent, in the personnel changes, we have a list of employee recommendations. Mr. Ari Sloan, teacher at Madison Central School. Ms. Glenn Cobb, teacher at Madison Central School. I do want to point out that with Ms. Cobb, I have to continue to advertise an elementary ed position because she said she will work for us until we can fill it permanently. We have some non-instructional employee recommendations. And we have a paraprofessional at Pinetta, that's Shelley Whitlatch. Part-time leave fill-in paraprofessional in Greenville, that's Michael Green. Leave fill-in paraprofessional at Lee, that's Brittany Edwards. Bus driver Alan Shadrick, and bus driver Greg Reagans. We also have an employee requesting leave of absence for Madison Central School, that's Roland Herndon. When we put this together, we actually did not know his estimated time of return. He had some a medical procedure, and actually, he told me yesterday that he should be back at work Monday. So his effective date will change, which it really doesn't affect you guys, just affects when we turn back on payroll. Employee resignations and terminations. We have at the high school, food service worker, Ms. Camille Quick. Central School paraprofessional, Morris Bell. Central School custodian, Jordan Herring. Pinetta paraprofessional, Shelley Whitlatch. You may ask why we're recommending her and non-recommending, and she resigning at the same time. We have to do this to have a paper trail, and that's where we're at with that. We also have some substitutes at the bottom. Lucidius Jones Jr. for bus driver, Kathleen Hamilton, teacher, paraprofessional, food service worker, and then Deidre Myers, teacher. She will be a substitute teacher pending background check. We did her fingerprinting today. Just gonna take a couple days for that to get back.
Thank you, Mr. Stallnaker. Is there a motion to approve the personnel changes?
I'll make the motion to approve the personnel changes.
We have a motion by Ms. Williamson, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Alfred. Any questions or discussion? By a show of hands, all in favor? Opposed? Becky, 5-0. 5.6, monthly financial reports.
Okay, Mr. Barnes is not here with us, but what he's presenting to you at this meeting, last week before last, we met with Jacob Oliva, who's the chancellor of the DOE, and Suzanne Pridgen, she's the finance person, and these are the papers these are draft papers he presented to them, and he's still working on doing the final closeout papers for the year, but it shows us with a 5.29% fund balance, or either 4.38, and so we are still above the state threshold. We're almost there, but he's working hard, and he will have he will have final papers possibly sometime next month.
Thank you. That was a very good meeting, Ms. Joseph. One thing that I came away with is that he said try to get that fund balance up as high as we can to possibly give the employees raises.
Yes.
Which would be wonderful. All right, do we have a motion to approve the monthly financial reports?
I make the motion to approve the monthly financials.
We have a motion by Mr. Alfred, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Daniels. Any questions or discussion?
I just want to say, I know he's not here, to thank Mr. Barnes for all that he's done. I mean, it truly
Yes.
has been, I mean, he's really done a great job, and I just appreciate all he's done to help this get back on track.
Yes, Mr. Barnes was present at that meeting with the chancellor, and he gave a very good presentation, and I think everything is fine at this point. But like I said, we're cautiously optimistic.
We're lucky to have him in this
We are very
position.
lucky to have him, that's right. All right.
Mr. Sam, did we need to vote separately on requests to fill those vacant positions?
I don't think so.
Do we need to vote on the request to fill those positions?
Under personnel, there was some vacant positions that they were requesting to advertise for.
You mean
I can
apart from
address,
the,
it's all covered in the same thing, but I can address those.
Okay, that's fine.
Remember, None of those requests to fill are new positions. Remember me addressing the board 2 or 3 meetings ago, asking permission to go ahead, once somebody resigns, to go ahead and replace those.
Okay.
All that is catch up paperwork.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Stallnaker. All in favor of the monthly financial report? Oppose? Becky, 5-0. Oh, did you have something? Okay. Are there other items of interest? Superintendent's item, Ms. Joseph?
Okay, superintendent items, refer back to you, Ms. Williamson, when you were asking about PICO funds, we are working through some funds, some renovations and building and just maintenance problems that we're dealing with, and we're not ignoring Mr. Burke about the field house. But I spoke with Ms. Gann, and since July 1, we have repaired one air conditioner right here at the district office. We repaired one air conditioner at Greenville Elementary. We have repaired 6 air conditioners at Lee. We've got one pending on dying and another dying, and in the cafeteria at Lee. And right now we've got a bid, an estimate for that one for $34,000. The air conditioner in the cafeteria at Lee is gone, and Ms. Brown's husband has brought a fan to cool those children off. At Central School, we have replaced 2 air conditioners at a top of $204,000 each, and we repaired one at Central. At the high school, we have repaired 2 air conditioners, and the pendant is the air conditioner at the field house for the high school. And at Pine Apple, we have repaired 8 air conditioners. That's since July 1. Okay, now for buses, right now at bus for repairs, we're up to $16,000. This is since July 1, and we're waiting on an invoice for about 4 more buses. So we're having to prioritize our spending. And so it's not that we're ignoring the item, but we've got to prioritize and see what's the most important. We've got to keep our kids in classrooms in the cafeteria cool. Those kids at football field, they're very important. We're going to see about them also. We have not forgotten about them.
Madam Chair, one thing, we did have an issue. I remember one year, and this is way on back. Remember when we did the lights on one of the fields with PICO money, and then the auditor came in and said we weren't allowed to do that. So
That's why I said, can you use capital outlay
there are some
funds?
special rules.
And I know
with
in the
PICO and
past,
athletics,
capital
so-
outlay funds wouldn't repair things. If it totally went, they would let you buy certain things with the money, but that it has to fit under a guideline. I don't know what they are,
But
what
we
they'll
are
let you
being
buy or not.
diligent with our spending, and we will try to spend according to the rules.
Right, and we value the sports as well as academics. I mean,
Yes.
okay.
A couple other things,
Oh,
okay?
you've got,
We did live body counts last week. Last week was our first week for students, and in your board minutes, those numbers for last Friday, those are actual live body counts. At Lee, as of last Friday, we had an attendance of 196 students. At the high school, we had attendance of 531 students. At Greenville, we had an attendance of 122 students. At Pine Apple, we had an attendance of 172 students. And Central School, we had an attendance of 996 students. Those were our live body counts as of last Friday.
And this is counting pre-K total?
Yes, the actual number of students that were on campus. Okay, my last thing I need to present to you is that time of the year we need to readdress the bargaining team, and this is not, and who will continue on the bargaining team is Mr. Sam Stallnaker, Ms. Robin Hill, and we are adding a school-based administrator to the bargaining team, which would be Rod Williams, and we're leaving a spot on the team for our chief financial officer because we have hopes we're going to find one soon. And Mr. Leonard Dietzman is still our chief financial officer. That's the bargaining.
Chief negotiator.
Chief negotiator. That's it.
thank you, Ms. Joseph. Attorney items, Mr. Reeves?
No, ma'am, not unless you have questions of me.
Any questions for Mr. Reeves? Okay, Ms. Williamson?
No, other than, I did speak with Ms. Joseph already about looking at the job description for that chief financial officer. The way it's written now, Mr. Barnes wouldn't qualify because it's real a lot. I don't know that we don't need to look at that again.
We can take a look at it.
Qualifications for that position to be able to get somebody. And we've had wonderful people that didn't have everything that we've got in there now. This is new. What was in there now has only been that way for a year or two, and we might need to look at.
Examine
I think we
it.
need to look at that, loosening that up just a little bit.
That's being addressed and will be presented to you at the next board meeting.
Okay.
Ms. Bell?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to say congratulations to the students that made a perfect score on the FSA in the different subjects, and I would like to say job well done.
Mr. Alfred?
I'd like to welcome back all the teachers and students back to this school year. I wish them a great school year. I'd like to congratulate all the students who scored a perfect 5. I'd like to congratulate their parents and grandparents for their hard work, because behind every strong academic student, you have, in most cases, dedicated parents who are there to help them and to be with them through everything. So I congratulate everyone. And again, just wish everyone a great start of the school year. I hope it's going well for all.
Mr. Daniels?
I also like to congratulate the students who received a perfect score. I don't think we really can, it's hard to fathom what that really entails. That means, if I'm not mistaken, every single question they got it correct, pretty much. I go on record and say that I never achieved that feat. And I also wanted to thank all of the principals. You know, I think a lot of times we don't give the principals their due. But I wanted to just commend all of the principals for your hard work, and especially the ones who are here tonight. And thank you for your presence. Also, I wanted to, you know, I know we were talking about different renovations and things at the high school, but I just wanted to see if it's a possibility for us to kind of see if there was I know we don't have any funds or anything in our budget or what have you, to get a committee or what have you of volunteers in the community to try to address the entrance, the sign at the high school. You know, the sign. That sign has been at that school since I was in high school, and that was a long, long time. And so I'm just saying, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there to see if there are some creative ways for us to come up with, you know, some ideas to raise, you know, some funds to try to get that fixed. That's my spiel.
Thank you. I had the opportunity to visit all the open houses this year, and I could say they were ready. There was a lot of enthusiasm, and I want to thank everyone. I wish everyone a good year. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to say,
go ahead.
with Mr. Daniels concerning the sign, that was, it was in the plan for the renovation, so I don't know whose job it was to put up the sign, but we were told that it was going to be a new sign at the high school. So that, I guess that's water under the bridge, but that we were told that many a meeting in here that somebody was covering the sign.
Was it in writing?
I don't know that.
Or just
but
told, but it was promised, let's say.
We've been told several times that the sign was included, a new sign, so I don't know what to say about that other than we're without a sign.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion to adjourn.
We have a motion by Mr. Alfred, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Bell, meeting adjourned.